Jake Harris had never been the type to find himself in extraordinary situations. He was just a regular guy, living in a quiet suburban town, working at a local IT support office. His life, though full of mundane tasks and the occasional minor crisis involving malfunctioning printers or lost passwords, was predictable. There was comfort in that. But everything changed the night the sky fell. It wasn't supposed to happen. Jake had just finished his shift and was heading home, as he always did. The sky was clear, the night quiet, save for the hum of traffic and the distant sounds of the city. As he approached his apartment building, he noticed something strange, a flicker in the sky. At first, he thought it was a plane, but then the flicker grew brighter, and it became obvious that this was no ordinary light. It was descending rapidly, growing larger and larger as it neared the ground. Before he could react, a loud explosion shook the ground beneath him, sending Jake tumbling backward. He gasped, struggling to catch his breath as the ground rumbled with the impact. A massive shockwave sent debris flying, and a fireball lit up the darkened streets. People screamed and scattered, but Jake's feet remained frozen to the ground. Something was pulling him toward the crash site, a force he couldn't explain. His heart hammered in his chest as he stumbled through the debris, drawn to the wreckage of what was no longer a spaceship, but something entirely unrecognizable. It was unlike anything Jake had ever seen, gleaming metal twisted and bent, the remains of a craft from another world. Curiosity, mixed with a growing sense of dread, urged him to approach the wreckage. He was no hero. In fact, he wasn't even sure if he should be there, but his instincts drove him forward, pushing past the fear that gripped him. As he neared the wreckage, he heard a faint sound, a weak, almost pleading noise. "Help, please," Jake froze. The voice was strained, almost like it was coming from far away. His breath caught in his throat as he stepped closer to the wreckage. There in the center of the ruined craft lay an alien. Not a creature of myth or imagination, but a real living being. She was tall and slender, her skin a soft shade of silver that shimmered in the light of the fire. Her eyes were wide, an unnatural shade of violet, and her features were delicate yet sharp, like something out of a dream. She was covered in some sort of strange armor, but it was broken and damaged, and the alien lay on the ground, blood oozing from a wound near her side. Jake had no idea what to do. His mind was racing, but his body acted before he could think. He knelt beside her, touching her shoulder gently, feeling the coolness of her skin beneath his fingers. Her eyes flickered open as she gasped for air. "Please," she whispered again, her voice trembling. "Help me." It was a simple request, and for some reason Jake couldn't turn away. Maybe it was the desperation in her voice or the fear in her eyes. Or maybe it was the fact that she was not of this world, and in that moment Jake couldn't help but feel connected to her in a way he couldn't explain. I'll help you," he stammered, his mind racing as he tried to make sense of what was happening. He looked around, frantic. "I need to get you out of here." But as soon as the words left his mouth, the ground shook again. This time it wasn't from the crash, but from something much more powerful, something that was approaching. Jake looked up to see a group of men in black suits, military personnel emerging from the shadows. They were armed and their eyes were focused on him, on her. "Get away from her," one of them commanded, his voice cold and authoritative. Jake's heart skipped a beat. He was being ordered by the military. He wasn't sure what was happening, but he could tell that these people weren't here to help. They were here for something else. Before he could react, the alien woman's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist with surprising strength. Her grip was tight, unyielding. Her eyes locked onto his, and he saw a flicker of something. Fear, desperation. She was trying to say something, but her voice faltered. She wasn't able to speak clearly. "We need to go," she whispered urgently, her voice filled with panic. "They'll take me, they'll do things to me." Jake's head spun. He had no idea what was going on, but he couldn't leave her behind. Not now, not when he could see the fear in her eyes, The military men approached, their weapons raised, their faces hard. "Move," one of them barked, but Jake stood his ground, unwilling to let the alien woman be taken by these people. "I'm not going anywhere without her," Jake said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through his veins. The military men exchanged glances, seemingly unfazed by Jake's words. One of them stepped forward and pointed a weapon directly at Jake. "You're making a mistake," the man said. "Step aside." But Jake was already moving. He didn't know why, but something inside him told him he had to protect her. He pulled the alien woman into his arms, his body moving instinctively as he began to run. His legs felt like lead, but his heart was pounding, and the fear driving him forward was stronger than any doubt. He couldn't look back. Not now. The military men gave chase, their footsteps pounding behind him. But Jake was faster than he expected, and he quickly ducked into an alley, pushing the woman ahead of him. He could hear the shouts of the soldiers growing distant, but he didn't dare slow down. As they ran through the streets, the alien woman spoke again, her voice weak but insistent. "My name is Zara," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please help me." Jake didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to help her. He had no idea what was going on, what kind of mess he'd found himself in. But one thing was certain: he couldn't let her be taken. They finally reached his apartment building, and Jake rushed inside, locking the door behind him. His heart was still racing as he led Zara to the small sofa in his living room. She collapsed onto it, her breathing labored. What happened?" Jake asked, his voice shaky. Zara's violet eyes stared up at him, and for the first time she spoke with clarity. "I'm not from this world," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I'm a royal from a distant planet. I was sent to Earth on a diplomatic mission, but something went wrong. My ship was damaged, and now they're after me." Jake stood there, unable to process her words. "What do you mean they're after you? Who?" "The military," Zara said, her voice barely audible. "And worse, my own people. There's a traitor in my family, someone who wants to use me for their own purposes. They want to control the power I carry." Jake blinked, still reeling from the impossibility of what she was saying. "Power? What kind of power?" "I have something they want," Zara replied, her gaze distant. "Something that could change everything. And if they get it, they'll destroy everything I've ever known." The weight of her words hung in the air, and Jake didn't know what to say. He didn't know what was happening, but he couldn't turn his back on her now. "I won't let them take you," he said quietly, surprising even himself with the certainty in his voice. "I'll protect you." Zara's eyes flickered, and for a moment she almost seemed to smile. But the smile faded as quickly as it came, replaced by a deep sadness. "You don't understand," she whispered, "but you will soon. Our bond, it's already beginning, whether you want it or not." Jake's heart skipped a beat as he stared down at her. He didn't know what she meant, but something in her voice told him that this was only the beginning. Jake couldn't believe what Zara had said. Their bond. What did she mean? The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning he didn't quite understand. As she lay on the couch, her breathing slowly evening out, Jake tried to make sense of the situation. None of it made sense. An alien, a royal from another planet, now sitting in his living room asking for his protection. And he, an ordinary guy, somehow wrapped up in all of it. He paced back and forth across the room, glancing at her every now and then. Her violet eyes followed him, her expression unreadable. "Jake," she finally said, her voice soft but urgent, "you don't have much time. They'll be here soon. You don't understand the danger." Jake stopped, his heart pounding in his chest. "Who's going to come after you?" Zara closed her eyes for a moment as if gathering her thoughts. "The people who want to control me, my powers. There's a traitor in my family, someone who wants to take the throne. He'll stop at nothing to do it." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "A traitor? What do you mean, Powers? What do you have that they want?" Zara's gaze seemed to sharpen as she looked at him. "I have the key to something ancient, a power that can change the course of the universe. It's not something my people should control. It's dangerous, Jake. If they get their hands on it, she paused, her voice trembling slightly. If they use me, use what's in me, they could destroy everything. Jake didn't know what to say. His mind was spinning, trying to piece everything together. Powers, ancient keys, none of it made sense. But the fear in Zara's voice told him that this wasn't something she was making up. She was terrified, and that was enough for Jake to know that he had to help. I don't know what I can do, he said, sitting down across from her, trying to understand. I'm just a guy. I'm not anyone important. Zara sat up slowly, wincing slightly from the pain in her side. She reached out, her hand resting on his. Jake, you already are someone important. You don't understand, but you will. We're already bonded, in ways you can't see, but I can feel it. You're the one who will help me stop this. Jake's mind raced. Bonded? How could that be? He was just a guy who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't understand, he said again, his voice low. What do you mean, bonded? Zara's violet eyes met his, a strange intensity in them. You'll feel it soon enough. The bond that's forming between us, it's more than just an accident, it's fate, Jake. I didn't want it, but I don't have a choice anymore. And neither do you. Jake's chest tightened. He felt a strange, almost inexplicable pull toward her, but he couldn't explain it. He had to be imagining it. There was no way that anything like that could be real. Before he could say anything else, a loud knock echoed from the door. His heart skipped a beat. The military. Had they found them already? Zara's face turned pale. They're here. Jake's mind raced. He had no idea what to do. He didn't have any weapons, no training. He was just an IT guy. But as he looked at Zara, he realized that he couldn't let them take her. He couldn't let anyone hurt her. We need to get out of here, Zara said, her voice filled with urgency. She rose to her feet, moving more quickly than Jake expected, despite the wound she had suffered. They won't stop until they have me. You have to trust me. Jake nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know what he was doing, but somehow he knew he had to follow her. There was no other choice. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the back door. Zara moved with surprising speed, her eyes scanning the surroundings as if she knew exactly where to go. They ran through the alley behind his apartment building, keeping low and trying to stay out of sight. Jake's mind was racing, the adrenaline pumping through his veins. What was he doing? What had he gotten himself into? Zara glanced back at him as they ran, her face determined. You're doing well. Stay close. Jake nodded, his breath coming in heavy gasps. I don't know what's happening, he said, his voice shaky. I don't know what you're asking of me. Zara's eyes softened, but only for a moment. You'll understand soon, but for now just trust me, stay with me. They turned a corner and found themselves in an unfamiliar part of town. The streets were quieter here, but Jake didn't feel safe. The fear was eating at him, growing with every step. He could feel the military closing in. He could hear their footsteps, their shouts. They were getting closer. Jake stopped for a moment, trying to catch his breath. He turned to Zara, his mind spinning. Where are we going? What are we supposed to do? Zara's gaze was intense. We're going to get off this planet. They're not going to stop until they have me, and if they capture me, it's over. It's not just me they want, it's the power I carry, the power that can change everything. Jake swallowed hard, trying to comprehend what she was saying. Power? You said you were a royal. What kind of power do you have? Zara paused for a moment, as if she were weighing her words carefully. It's not something I can explain easily, but it's tied to my bloodline. It's something that can end the war between my people and possibly destroy the universe if it falls into the wrong hands. Jake shook his head, trying to process it. So why not just get rid of it? If it's so dangerous, why not? It's not that simple, Zara interrupted. It's a part of me, Jake, and once you're bonded to me, you'll feel it too. I don't want this power, but I can't control it alone. That's why you're important. Jake looked at her, feeling a mixture of fear and confusion. Bonded? You keep saying that. What does that mean? Zara's face softened and she stepped closer to him. It means that we're connected now. in ways that are hard to explain. You might start to feel things, see things, even hear things that aren't there. But it's the only way we can survive this. It's the only way we can stop them. Jake felt a strange sensation then, a feeling like a pulse, a soft hum in the back of his mind. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. He could feel something tugging at him, something deep inside. It was like his very soul was reacting to hers. "I don't know if I can do this," he said quietly. "I don't know if I'm strong enough." Zara reached out, her hand resting on his arm. "You are stronger than you know. Together we can stop this. Together we can protect the galaxy." Before Jake could respond, a loud voice echoed through the alley. "There they are!" Zara's head whipped around. The military had found them. They were closing in fast, and there was no way to escape. "Get down!" Zara shouted, pushing Jake to the ground. He barely had time to react before a barrage of gunfire rained down on the alley. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he scrambled to avoid the bullets, pulling Zara close to him. "We're not going to make it," Jake whispered, fear clawing at his throat. Zara's eyes met his, and for the first time he saw something other than fear, determination. "We will," she said, her voice firm. "Trust me." She raised her hand, and suddenly a wave of energy exploded from her body. The force of it sent the soldiers flying back, their weapons flying from their hands. Jake's eyes widened as he saw the power radiating from her, the raw energy that seemed to come from within her very being. For a moment, everything was still. The soldiers were disoriented, trying to recover from the blast. Zara took a step forward, her eyes glowing with intensity. Jake could feel it too now. Whatever this bond was, whatever power she had, it was real. "We have to keep moving," Zara said, pulling him to his feet. "They won't stop until they have me, but we can't let that happen." Jake nodded, his heart still racing. He didn't know what was happening, but in that moment he understood one thing. He was in this, whether he liked it or not. Together they would fight.